This is Dan Vlamis. I've got the top of the hour, and so we're going to go ahead and start.
Hi, everyone. This is Tim Vlamis. Thanks for joining us today.
We are going to talk then about our unauthorized, we actually originally called it the Business Intelligence and Analytics Scoop Session. We changed our minds and changed it to the Business Analytics Scoop Session and get right into things. So the first thing we have to do is go through our disclaimers. Tim?
Yeah, so this is our safe harbor statement. So basically it says that no matter what we say, you can't hold it against us. And this was not put together by lawyers, but it was patterned after something that was put together by lawyers. So what we're basically saying is don't take us too seriously, all right?
Yep.
And the development, release, and timing of any features or functionality described for Oracle's products remains at the sole discretion of Oracle. That is important.
Okay. Not by Tim or I.
No.
Hey, a couple things real quick before we get started. If you want to chat with us, we'd love to hear your comments and such. You can put it in the questions tab or in the chat box, whichever you find more convenient. Open that up, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. We'll try and have those open. Tim and I kind of co-present this, and so we can get started.
Yeah.
The other is, well, go ahead.
Especially when we get something wrong.
Yeah. Definitely point it out, and if Tim's talking, I'll point out what those people say that definitely tells him what he's saying is totally wrong.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to let you all know is that there is an upcoming conference. We're kind of, this is our month of webcasts leading up to Obiee Summit 2016. And we'll be excited that that's taking place January 26th through 28th at the Oracle headquarters conference center. So if you like this type of stuff, come join us at obiee.org. All right, and these are some of the webcasts that we're doing this month of IOUG Obiee TechCasts. IOUG is the Independent Oracle Users Group. Obiee is the Business Intelligence, Data Warehousing, and Analytics Special Interest Group of the IOUG. We did one on new features of Oracle BI. This is our scoop session that we're giving, and then we'll be talking about upgrading from Oracle BI 11G to Oracle BI 12C next week. And then the Data Visualization Cloud Service live demo, assuming it goes live, we'll be doing that on December 9th and showcasing that, and then repeating the new features webcast, figuring that we probably missed a couple people. You'll find more information at Vlamis.com, Papers 2015, then November, December, or that'll scroll down to the right page. A little bit on Vlamis Software Solutions. We were founded back over 20 years ago. We've developed all sorts of BI and analytics systems. We specialize in Oracle-based data warehousing, data mining, analytics, business intelligence. We're also authors of the Data Visualization for Oracle Business Intelligence 11G book. We presented all sorts of the conferences, and I'm conference chair for Obiee Summit 2014 through 2016. And you'll find a lot of information on our website on that, on us, including, by the way, past presentations. We record a lot of these. We'll record today's presentation as well and make that available up on our website. So with that, let's get into the meat of the topic.
Yeah, so the main thing that I wanted to talk about was when we started putting this together, we were trying to figure out, did we want to replay the 2014 scoop session? Because many aspects of OpenWorld are rote, and they're kind of the same. So if you're wondering, yes, we had our Vlamis reception again this year. It was great. It was at the same time, same place. Once again, the food was great. Basically, you know, a lot of this is patterned, and we're following the same thing where we have the patterns going. It is true that the logistics are getting more efficient. So the food came out on time at the reception and everything. I mean, everything is getting smoother. It's also true that Oracle is still ahead where they've always been ahead And quite frankly, they're behind and catching up where they've always been behind. That hasn't changed that much. We do believe that important changes are occurring in all the markets and that the things are shifting, even though kind of Oracle OpenWorld is pretty similar. And if nothing else, we can see that Oracle is still very, very ambitious. So that we kind of, you know, the one thing that stood out at OpenWorld is that, and this is from last year, and this is why last year we had what, Dan, 4 bullets on this?
Yeah, we kept on putting more bullets on it, and so
yeah,
we just simplified it.
But we led with cloud, cloud, cloud. So this year we thought we would, you know, focus on their strategy, and it's cloud, cloud, cloud. I mean, that is what you get hammered with in pretty much every single presentation. So the way we think, we were putting this together, and I thought, you know, it's kind of like going to see a marching band. The band is very scripted. There's a baton twirler, there are pom-pom, you know, girls, and, you know, some special performances and maybe a drum solo or something. So some things, the songs change, you know, and some of the special performances change. You go back, Dan. But basically, it's about, you know, going to see a marching band. And you have to want to see a great, well-done marching band. And just know that it's quite scripted. That's all. You're not going to see a jazz combo at 11:30 at night. Okay. So what we want to do is focus on what is new and different, and not necessarily we're going to change things up from the way we've done the scoop session in the past. So we're not going to make fun of the boat video before Larry's keynote.
Maybe we'll do it again next year.
I like, you know, it's my favorite part of the scoop session is to play the boat video. Anyway.
Well, and they still have the boat out between south and north.
Yes,
and
they do.
You're supposed to go by, and I think you're supposed to go by and pay homage to the boat drivers and talk about how excited you are to see them.
That's right. Light a candle, all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan, I don't think we should point out that Larry runs his own presentations and drives everyone else in Oracle crazy because they have to listen carefully to what he says and what he
Well, that might be making too much fun of Oracle. So I think we should not point that out, and that everybody has to, and that the rest of the sessions, the product managers have to kind of say, well, that's what Larry's take is on things.
Okay, let's not say that, all right?
Okay, let's not. Good, I agree.
Okay. Let's not complain about the loud music at lunchtime and kind of how inappropriate rock music is when you're trying to talk business.
Makes you sound a little old, Tim.
Get off my lawn, Dan. Okay. And this time we're going to take more of a product market focus as opposed to a day-by-day focus. So this is an all-new BA scoop session.
Yeah. All right, so jumping in, one of the things that really came out was the data visualization is hot. Indeed, we were pretty excited that you know, the visual analyzer demos were ubiquitous. Larry showed this on Sunday night in the opening keynote session, and I heard the rumors. Huh?
In the pimp spot.
Yeah, exactly. And I heard the rumors that Larry was going to show Visual Analyzer. By golly, I had my camera out ready to video him, and it kept on getting later and later, and is he going to show it or not? And indeed he did, and he actually did a pretty good job setting it up. Although it was not entirely factual on everything that was out, it was directionally correct, not specifically correct.
That's right. It made us late to the ACE dinner is what it did.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, it's because he held it to the very end.
Yeah. Oh, well.
The other thing that happened is Big Data Discovery is getting a huge amount of resource and push from Oracle. We heard about that from multiple people, that this is going to be good stuff. And indeed, for what we've seen in the product, you've had more time on this, Tim, than I have.
Yeah, I think it's very, very good. It is very compelling. There's nothing else quite like it out there. and from a data science perspective in terms of conceptualizing and understanding data sets rather quickly and kind of diving into what potential they have, really excellent.
Yep.
So, and you know what's coming in the future for it is quite exciting as well. They're talking about doing some deeper analytics with this specific tool. I would say that right now the description of the analytics that it has are maybe a little oversold by some of the sales force, but in terms of what's coming, it's going to be really excellent.
You're starting to steal thunder from the rest of the presentation.
Oh, sorry.
The thing we were excited by is also that they chose to call it data visualization. And there's a bit of a movement, by the way, just to clue you all in, a movement away from visual analyzer as a word and towards data visualization. And it made it seem like we were very prescient in our choosing the title of data visualization for Oracle Business Intelligence 11G. So.
Yeah,
People ask
shameless.
Us, how did you know to title it that way?
Yeah, shameless plug for our book. And just a reminder, if you feel compelled to write a 5-star review on Amazon, it's okay with us.
Yeah,
so,
it'd be fine.
Anyway, all right.
Also, in business analytics, everything is in analytics in business intelligence. They're talking about it everywhere. People love analytics. Indeed, it's really not business intelligence anymore. It's business analytics. Indeed, that kind of switched last year, but it became even more prevalent this year, that everybody wants to talk about analytics, even if they don't even know exactly what it is and where it stands. Business intelligence 12C, for instance, we had heard that might come out somewhere around Oracle OpenWorld, in time for Oracle OpenWorld. And indeed, the day before, the Friday before, I was in a partner briefing on BI, and it was funny, all the slides say coming out very, very, very soon. And then in the midday, they switched the slides to out now. So it released the day before Oracle OpenWorld opened. So that was pretty exciting to see, especially since we've been part of the beta on this and finally have it come out.
We can relate to this, but there is absolutely nothing quite like a deadline.
So I think somebody said it will be out before Oracle OpenWorld, and indeed it was.
Indeed it was, and they had several hours.
Yeah, they had a couple spare.
Right.
But also, it is a big release. We have other webcasts where we went through that, and one coming up on this. But it is a hugely important release for them. Some of the things in here is the big ticket item, the one everybody talks about, is Visual Analyzer or data visualization. Actually, on the price list, you'll see it as data visualization, not Visual Analyzer. That was kind of the code name going on behind the scenes for quite some time. That has also the ability to upload data on an ad hoc basis, commonly called data mashup. The ability for the user to enter in their own data without having to, they just upload a spreadsheet and it merges with the rest of what's there from the RPD file. The only thing that we've heard from some other customers, and indeed we've run into this, that there is an additional license fee for those capabilities. Just be aware of it for this Visual Analyzer piece. Also,
hey, Dan, can I make a quick comment on that Visual Analyzer? It's really designed for data discovery. Yep. And so there is some different messaging around, does it replace answers, is it new, improved answers, that kind of thing. And answers is still in the tool, and it has an important place in terms of, producing, well-archived dashboards and things like this, and all the other attributes and capabilities that Obiee has in terms of actionable intelligence and alerts and things like that. So just know that it's particularly designed for discovery purposes. So because of that, it's more of a singular user tool as opposed to a broad organizational tool, meaning who's consuming or looking at these interfaces at a particular time. So
Well, I'm glad you
and
mentioned that, because
yeah,
that's one of the things that's a little different, and it helps also justify a little bit, at least, why it is an extra cost item. It's not for dashboarding per se. It is rather looking at the data within the organization. There's ways to share things, but it's not a curated set of data, and that's why data mashup fits in there nicely. You can bring your own data to it and that type of thing. I'm going to do this, Tim. We didn't talk about this,
okay.
but here's a video that I've got of this. This is from our BI12C new features session.
Yeah.
And here it is. This is kind of the demo here if I play this. Has a fantastic set of visualizations and demonstrations of what you can do with Oracle BI products. So this is just an example that they put together of what that looks like as you hover over some of these segments, some of the slices of the pie. You can see what's there. We'll go into this a lot more depth. But this is in general. All right, so I don't want to bore the audience, but this demo, yeah, that's fine. This demo is available on our website. If you want to see more of a demo of Visual Analyzer, or you want a more professional demo done by Oracle, look at some of the links where Oracle has put together all of this with a less on-the-fly type of demo, and they go through all the features. So that's fine. All right, so let me pull this away. Other stuff that's part of business analytics, they do in the 12C release. There's new tools for upgrading of this. There's new tools for RPD and catalog migration using, for those that are familiar with BI Cloud Services, bar files. There's that ability with the on-premise version of BI 12C as well. There's also a new Oracle look, and they're getting flatter and flatter. Go ahead.
No, it's just, they're doing away with gradients, they're doing away with drop shadows, they're doing away with all the visual nonsense it takes away from, interpreting data and its presentation graphically. So we very, very much welcome this this trend from Oracle. So
I think they were listening to us on some of the stuff we said.
Yeah,
before.
I think they were listening to everybody else. I mean,
So you think so?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think. Maybe it was us. I don't think so.
Maybe it was some of the pressure from Tableau in showing how stuff could be done. Maybe that had something to do with it. Yeah. Also, BI Cloud Services is being integrated in some of the applications. This was kind of interesting, pointed out by our colleague Louis Nagoti that went to some of the sessions on really apps on this, and that BI Cloud Services is incorporated into that. And it's kind of exciting to see finally BI on the cloud, that other users will get to use it besides just BI people.
Yeah, in fact, Louis was going to join us today for the webcast, but he got called away on jury duty.
Man, what a bummer.
Unbelievable.
I know. So we had ready to go with 3 webcams and everything. So, oh well.
Yeah. Oh well.
BI Mobile, by the way, is still there, and so you can. It's still around. Interesting enough, did not get quite as much play as it did in previous years, but maybe it's just not quite as new. BI Mobile HD is still there, and it works with data visualization, the data visualization option, very nicely, as a matter of fact. You can take all of your work product that you've been working on the PC and just play it on BI Mobile, move it back and forth, and so forth. It's a very nice, and author new things with BI Mobile HD. It's not just a player. There's also a new thing coming day by day. Oh, I think we're allowed to say this, Tim. It's funny, they put on there, coming sometime, and it's not released, but there's purposeful built apps with something called smart cards. This I took as a take on building a purposeful built app that is just for the mobile platform and even down to the smartwatch. They talked about this, about how you could have agents that go and figure out where you're arriving, location-based, and pop up something, let's say, as you arrive into the office or as you go into another plant. That type of thing is what they see this being used for.
Yeah.
with the new envisioning of how you do alerts, for instance.
It's a context-aware platform, so it knows what time of day it is and what your location is, and you can make sure that the appropriate information for that time, place is presented first. So it's very, very cool. You know.
We'll have to see more on it once it gets closer.
Yeah.
They also talked about later is Project Lens, a data exploration thing on mobile. I didn't fully get this, Tim. They didn't show a whole lot of this, but they talked about a new way of doing data exploration specifically designed for the mobile platform. Did you have anything else on Project Lens? They skipped over it.
No, I think what's happening is Oracle has completely fallen in love with data exploration, and they've kind of moved away a little bit from that data explanation, and they're getting their messages not completely confused, but there's talk of narratives, there's talk of this, there's talk of that, but in terms of why you would want to do that and build kind of organizational coherence and common understanding of the position and performance of the organization, that is not as prevalent as, you know, discovering new insights kind of thing.
Well, and I think some of that comes from being beat up in the marketplace with the amount of time it takes to build a proper RPD file and to come up with what's the common name that we're going to call revenue or sales, what's the definition. And a lot of this that you get from a single source of the truth, single version of the truth type thing, and the marketplace is probably tired of people having to wait while people decide these things. Although, you know, it's actually pretty important, and it's one of the things we hammer on.
Yeah, yeah.
So they go in more into data exploration. So it'll be interesting. The pendulum may swing the other way eventually.
Yep.
It's very interesting also, there was very little on BI Mobile App Designer. So be aware of that. If you are an organization that has started working with that, boy, I didn't hear much about it, and I asked privately and just did not hear that there's as much emphasis on this. So
we think it's a very cool tool. We like it.
Yeah.
Just we were looking for it and had a hard time finding it. That's all.
Yeah, true. But interesting that day by day covers some of that space, but at a different, approaches it differently. All right, Tim, you want to talk about advanced analytics?
Yeah, so I would say that the demo grounds was the best place to learn about advanced analytics. And in fact, some of the presenters that were non-Oracle presenters that spoke on our and various topics didn't know very much about Oracle's take on it. So I was a bit underwhelmed by some of the presentations. Obviously, some of them were quite good. But the demo grounds were particularly useful in terms of being able to talk with product managers and have them show you new features and new things that are out there. In terms of the what's happening, there is a lot of development work going on. There are the new algorithms in Oracle data mining. Those are being integrated into ORE, so they're extending ORE, for example, with association rules, with the orthogonal partitioning clustering cluster algorithm. So there are things that are being developed in advanced analytics, so that it's quite exciting. There's also a lot of work in advanced analytics on the big data side. So using things in combination with Hadoop. For example, the Oracle Advanced Analytics for Hadoop is integrating new algorithms, new capabilities, some really powerful stuff in terms of neural networks and some GLM regressions, and things that quite frankly are often difficult to do at scale in R, whereas if you start using it on, not in just kind of vanilla R in memory as a single-threaded process, but you can really get some very, very big data analysis done. The other thing that's happening is R is coming for Obiee. So this is new in 12c, and we've kind of seen some demos of this, and quite frankly, again, here we're learning a lot from sample app and actually diving in and looking at the code as opposed to some of the more roadmappy kinds of presentations where for an audience of 100 people, they just, you know, they don't. Dan, you tell me, sometimes the presentations at Oracle OpenWorld are not as technical as they could be. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, and it's getting more that way.
Yeah.
We'll come to this again, but, you know, it's roadmap, this is where we're heading, not here's some tips and tricks on how to make the current release, or for that matter, the prior release, which sometimes the ones that the customers are actually deployed on. There's very little on that. If you're looking for what you're on now, if you're not on the latest, you won't see as much of that at Oracle OpenWorld.
Yeah, so actually where we kind of learned a little bit more about exactly how this works is actually, you know, opening up Sample App and looking at some code. But basically what you this capability, I mean, if you ask me, there's a lot of this stuff you can execute directly in the database anyway, so why not use a transparency layer and do it as fast as possible. Now we're going to have to learn how and where to execute these R functions, but know that this is coming. It's quite exciting. There are a lot of people who want to do predictive analytics with their business intelligence implementations, but you know, there's a lot of work yet in terms of explaining where and how you do your processing.
Hey, Tim, one thing, that question came out while we were talking about BI, and I'm trying to be polite to you and not interrupt you in advanced analytics, but a question came in on any idea when the Obiee 12c sample demo pack will be available, and V50 something, I believe. And so we actually addressed that in the prior webcast. In my webcasts, I'm using V511 to demonstrate that, and that's supposed to be coming out in December, from what I understand. It's a little misnomer, 512, but 511 will come out in the December timeframe. It just has to go through some last-minute checks on some things. And that way, people can actually see some of this R stuff directly on a platform where the plumbing has all been put together. It's a very nice environment for doing this.
Yeah, agreed.
And key in, I've got my questions panel open. If you have other stuff, folks, key in. I'll try and address it as we go ahead. So go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, the other thing was, you know, there is a lot of work around advanced analytics, and lots of the Oracle applications are leveraging Oracle Advanced Analytics. But I would say that there's not as much information on using Oracle Advanced Analytics as a standalone product. So it's, I mean, it's out there in the ether and everybody's talking about it, but they're not necessarily pulling up, you know, Oracle data mining or Oracle R Enterprise specifically as much as we think they should be. And there's lots and lots of what I would call baby analytics being done that people are saying, oh, it's predictive analytics, and it's kind of like, well, it's a regression line. I mean, you know, you can do that in Excel. It's not the, you know, the big stuff. Anyway, it's fine. I'm all for regressions. I'm just not, you know, they're sometimes oversold.
So then.
So yeah, so in terms of what the product managers want to talk about at OpenWorld in our experience, and the BI product managers, they wanted to talk about advanced analytics. So in all different flavors of it. And when you're talking with the Oracle Advanced Analytics product managers, what are they talking about? Big data. So they're talking about how do we you know, hook into Hadoop? How do we play with the other parts of the big data ecosystem? There's a lot on big data SQL. There's a lot on the big data connectors. the Oracle Advanced Analytics for Hadoop, which is part of the Oracle R connector for Hadoop, or they renamed it, those kinds of things. That is a lot of what the product managers are talking about in the advanced analytics space in terms of our experience. Then, of course, if you talk with big data product managers, what do they want to talk about? Spark. Basically, they want to talk about Spark. And obviously, they're very proud of big data discovery, and so they kind of want to hype that. And there is this, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually looked at the price list for to see where they were putting this, and big data discovery is in BI for big data. And so there's a little bit of, is big data discovery part of BI, or is it part of big data? And it kind of lives in both spaces. So it's interesting if you look at the price list where they start to put some of these things. And that's why you tend to get a lot of this overlap in the different product areas in what they want to call things and what they end up really talking about.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that a lot of the Oracle play is really around best in suite. I mean, you get your efficiencies because you have the red stack and everything plays nicely together, and this is the one throat to choke and all those kinds of advantages. And yet, what a lot of the product management teams often, how they talk about their products and how they think about them, comes across as a little bit more of a best-in-class type of presentation. And definitely the big data discovery fits in that. But it's interesting the challenges that exist in kind of the overall big data ecosystem in terms of how they view Oracle and how they view this. Dan, we haven't run into it much in the marketplace yet, have we?
No, but people are just getting to know.
Yeah, that's true.
This. And the problem that people have, I think, it's coming up in the next couple slides, but I think part of the things that people run into in the big data space is that this type of tool does not exist. So people see it, is this, part of, is this similar to some other tool? And the answer is no. It's its own thing, and it combines multiple tools together, and that's where people are just not used to it. I think that's what some of that comes from.
Yeah, I would say the other focus on Spark is pretty strong, and I would say there's a desire to do things in Spark and move to Spark and talk about Spark as opposed to kind of vanilla Hadoop.
Okay, so, then we also went to some spatial presentations. Yeah. I'll let you talk through that.
Well, just that there's a lot happening with Oracle Spatial and Graph. And they're kind of moving toward, and Dan, you can either agree or not agree with me, kind of moving to the spatial side is really about location. It's about geospatial analyses and things like that. And the graph side is really they're focusing it on the graph database capabilities. So an example is clustering by attribute. Very, very powerful stuff. Very interesting in terms of how you can characterize, extremely large networks, so that what are the regions? Yeah, go ahead.
Let me point out also, for those that aren't familiar, when we talk about spatial and graph together, the graph we're talking about here is not a bar graph or a line graph. It is the classic computer science definition of a graph with nodes and connections and edges, that type of thing. I get that confused by people that don't have necessarily that background and exposed to that way of thinking of things.
Yeah, RDF graph is what you want to look for, is what you want to Google. Yeah. But in any case, some really interesting stuff. Also some very interesting, the big data spatial and graph capability capabilities to do things at a massive scale. And I know that's part of the big data story, but what we're talking about here is some really sophisticated, high-level algorithmic work that if you tried to write it yourself and MapReduce, good luck. I mean, it's just, very, very challenging from a mathematics perspective. And now it's being released and it's available to us. And we can do some very powerful things in a short period of time in terms of how long it takes to process the data. So, quite exciting.
I went to that property graph
Yeah.
presentation used in, for instance, social network analysis. Very interesting. Put in the
works. I think it's overdone because there are many other kinds of networks where there's actually more direct business value. But in any case, evaluating here's a community, you have a couple million people, and then who's connected to whom. You can think about this in terms of maybe crime networks or terrorist networks, those kinds of things. There's a lot of work done with this algorithm and set of algorithms, the set of capabilities in terms of national security and stuff like that.
The one that I want to add is just being able to look at business data on a map. Nobody handling this area. This is the type of thing that you have to look at things spatially or location aware to notice these types of relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's
traditional BI way of looking at things.
Yeah, and it's you can think of it as a traditional map. You can also think of it as location. So you can think about a casino floor as a location. Where do we put different slot machines, and how do we associate them? And I was where things are located and how they're used, not just on a street address basis, but on a richer set of locations. You do the same thing in buildings with floors and real estate analysis and rents and how do we optimize returns and for what period of time are we going to set the the rent, those kinds of things, set the lease.
One thing I want to point out also, if you're interested in this stuff, a lot of the spatial people we wanted to cover is the database and data warehousing and big data. I wasn't sure how to split these out. The message is moving towards big data SQL. And that, I think, is standardized on the Oracle platform. Use SQL as the language for doing your querying. And one of the things that I think is becoming prevalent, by the way, as you talk to customers on this, is the question of vendor lock-in on Oracle and whether the marketplace objects to where Oracle is heading on this. My point here is Oracle's data warehouse types of presentations done by Keith Laker each year. And there's a link to it there. You can also just Google this to uncover it. But that's a whole book. It's an Apple iBook and a PDF file that Keith puts together that is great summary of presentations, a lot of pointers. There's a lot of graphics and stuff in it, so it's not like, oh, it's 83 pages of text. But take a look at it. If this is an area of interest in database, of where things are, it's pretty good.
It's it's very good. I would say it's a rather narrow look at data warehousing as opposed to a broad look. For example, there are not any of the advanced analytics presentations cited in there. And so if you start talking about the database as an analytics platform and how would we spatial graph, how would we leverage advanced analytics, what would we are not covered in, in Keith's summary. And I think it's really needed because there's this sense of the database as an analytics platform, and there's a lot in SQL analytics, but it's a little bit of, well, the next step is actually designing the, the analytic workflows and whatnot. And
I wish there was a BI summary.
Yeah, absolutely. And how you leverage different BI. I would tell you some of the data model. Spending some time with. Anyway.
Then there was another session that I want to highlight that was a preview of analytic views in a future Oracle database release. And that was given by Bud Endress. It was very interesting to see. It begs the question of where do you do your creation of your views? It simplifies SQL generation, and anybody writing a SQL generator will look at this and say, oh my gosh, where has this been all the time? And it brings BI type of analysis to the Oracle database. This is not available yet, and so there were lots of caveats in this, but this is coming out in a later 12 release of the database. And it begs the question, where should the rule be on how to compute various things? And it brings together a lot of this pre-computation. Think of it as a new type of view called an analytic view that makes it easy for you to do all sorts of analytics on the database. And Tim, I'll overuse that term as well, and look at various computations and make it very easy to select data from various levels and various types of calculations, all with a simple select statement. Much like you hide the complexity of getting at data via views, you can hide it even more so now using analytic views once this comes out. It also works very well with the in-memory option.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Performance.
Yeah, I mean, with in-memory, then all of a sudden we start to have a methodology for identifying and structuring or modeling what do we do in-memory and what do we not do, assuming you can't put an entire data warehouse in memory.
For those of us that are familiar with OLAP, online analytical processing type calculations, it actually brings that type of analysis to really the rest of the Oracle database without having to get into this, how do I summarize everything and come up with a data model ahead of time. You can do this all on the fly. There we go. Finally caught up. Hints for Oracle OpenWorld 2016. Recognize that it is Oracle's party. They're the ones that put on this conference. This is not a user group session, folks. So it's Oracle's message, and by golly, you're going to hear their message. And that actually is pretty good in many cases. Just know what you're getting. That's what you get, is Oracle's message. They control the content. Most of the speakers are Oracle speakers. They do have a higher percentage of user group speakers on Sunday during the user group portion of this. Also get your hotel rooms early. San Francisco books up. There's 50, 60,000 people in downtown San Francisco, and they just can't hold everybody there with the hotel rooms, and you're going to be staying a long ways out if you don't get your hotel rooms early. Union Square hotels are a good place to stay, we found, in being part of the action and then still be in a nice area where you can meetings with people. I'll put in a quick plug. You want to meet privately, let us know. We'd love to do that. Yeah. We use Oracle OpenWorld as that type of opportunity to meet with people. There's a lot of people there. There's too many people to just rely on running into folks, but plan out your time and look at the schedule builder. That's actually better this year. You can put favorites on your various sessions and then pick of those favorites which ones you want to actually attend. What they don't have there, by the way, is the groupware ability to compare favorites with other people and get stuff together.
Well, the other thing is if you sign up for a session, if you think you might want to go to it, get on the list so that way they don't make you wait 15 minutes to get in.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you can tell. And then you can use really, at this point, I've got just some resources to share with you all, and we'll see if there's any questions that people have been waiting. On the resources slide is the home page for Oracle OpenWorld. By the way, a lot of the sessions, most of them are up there. They do redact some of the slides. Just be aware when they upload, either some sessions are missing or some sessions they take out some of the future-looking stuff so they don't get in trouble with their attorneys, I think. The keynotes are out there. You can replay. You can see Larry live demoing data visualization, and see that out at the URL for Oracle OpenWorld for the keynotes. The review for Big Data at Oracle OpenWorld will provide another chance for you to find the link on that. If you're interested, by the way, on the book on data visualization for Obiee, there's a link for more information on it, bewithsummit.org, our website, and the TechCasts. And we do have upgrading from Oracle BI 11G to Oracle BI 12C is coming up in December 2 at, that was supposed to say in Central Time Zone, 12 p.m. Central Time Zone. And then we'll also give a live demo of data visualization and replay of the new features of 12.2.1 for Oracle BI. We've gone through this for each of the releases since 11. Each release that comes out, we show you the new features of that. So hope you all join us. I'm looking for any questions that come in or use the chat box. So far, I am not seeing any, so maybe we covered it all, Tim. Wait a minute, here's one that just came in. Do you prefer presentations by Oracle product managers mostly above customer cases at Oracle OpenWorld? You know, that's a funny thing. I would say at Oracle OpenWorld, I have gotten used to seeing the product manager presentations. Tim, I'll let you address this in just a moment, but I tend to go to the user group conferences like Collaborate, Be With Summit, and there I like to see the customer presentations. At Oracle OpenWorld, I'm there for future-looking stuff, and so, yeah, I'm okay with seeing the product managers, what they're saying as opposed to customer use cases. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say you know what you're going to get with the product managers, and you don't know what you're going to get with the customers. I went to some customer presentations this year that, quite frankly, were pretty bad. And so in the past, there's been some really good ones, some interesting insights and whatnot. But it's discouraging to go hear somebody speak on Oracle R Enterprise, and they don't even know what versions of the database it works with. I mean, it was, So I don't know who's vetting and who's picking the presentations, and I think there's a little bit of, this is our favorite customer, we're going to ask them to speak. And, it's not done on a content basis. So, yeah, that would be.
Yeah, and I think also what I kind of like that, I didn't see that done as much this year. Maybe I was just in the wrong presentations, where the product manager was talking about this is what's new in the next release, but they also invite the customer up to talk about how they've either used that new release, let's say during the beta period, or maybe it just came out a month ago, and they've had a chance to play with it. That type of thing seems to work well. It's just tough to get that in a timely basis because nobody has time to roll something out to production if the release happened just last week. So the combination I tend to like is what I'm trying to get at. The product manager talking about this is what's in there, and then the customer is talking about a real use case of it as well.
Yeah, and what's often not covered are the choices and trade-offs that people face, and that's what I think is really interesting to hear on on a use case basis. Is what did you give up and what did you get? And it's not always done from that perspective.
So for those that haven't found it, there is a place over on the control panel for asking questions and chat box. If you type something in there, we should be able to see that if others have questions that we're talking about. I think at this point, we've gotten kind of the resources out there. Sign up for the webcast. I'll start closing out last chance for questions. But we do have these upcoming webcasts. You can sign up for them if you just click on the link for Papers 2015 and scroll down to the latest in the year, and you can sign up for those webinars. And we'll be going through these last three, and we'll make this recording available. One last question here. Will data visualization be included in Obiee 12C Foundation license, or does the license model completely change? Interesting question. We have had several conversations, including some customers on this. The BI Foundation Suite, I think is what's being referred to, does not include data visualization. And indeed, if you were to talk to your Oracle rep, we also resell this stuff as well, so we have the information for the addendum on what's included with what. Data visualization is not included, and so that's an extra license that you have to pay for, either on a per CPU basis or on a per named user basis. And I will tell you, you don't have to get that the same number of named users on this as what you license. At least that's what I've heard on this. So think about who needs that capability. In many ways, I think lots of us were hoping that they would be included in Foundation Suite, which was kind of presented as the one thing, one package includes everything. But it is a different type of product, and that's why I think Oracle has gone the direction they're going.
I would also say that the sales force is highly motivated to sell this. And for those of you who have purchased licenses from Oracle in the past and understand the dance, you'll know what that means. So
it's very important when you're especially nearing an end of month, an end of quarter, or an end of year. Talk to Oracle about including data visualization as something that's there. But no, it's not included in Foundation Suite. I would say, does the license model completely change? The answer is no. It's just it is a new product that they're adding. With that, I think we're at pretty much the top of the hour. I'm going to go ahead and thank Tim for joining while remote. Usually we give these sessions while we're sitting together, but appreciate doing this, and that's great. So thank you.
All right. Thanks,
Talk to you
everyone.
next year.